Admiral Kai Nakamura stood at the heart of Quantum Command, deep within the Himalayas, watching holographic projections of the approaching Zorian vessels. Their bioorganic ships pulsed with an otherworldly bioluminescence, a display of what they considered the pinnacle of evolution. If only they knew what lurked beneath Earth's carefully manufactured facade. Status report on Operation Masquerade, Kai commanded, his voice steady despite the weight of humanity's greatest secret resting on his shoulders. Director Isabella Reyes, her dark eyes reflecting the soft glow of quantum displays, stepped forward. All surface installations are maintaining 20th-century appearance protocols. Our orbital facilities remain cloaked, and the consciousness transfer networks are running at optimal efficiency. The first Zorian diplomatic vessel would arrive within days, expecting to find a primitive species still bound by biological limitations. Instead, humanity had transcended physical form altogether, though this truth remained hidden behind a carefully constructed veneer of technological inadequacy. High Commander Vexer of the Zorian Empire observed Earth through his ship's living sensors, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting light in complex patterns that conveyed his amusement to his crew. Another species bound by flesh and metal, he communicated through biochemical signals. How fortunate they are to receive our guidance. The Zorians had spent millennia perfecting their biological form, merging organic matter with crystalline structures to create what they believed to be the ultimate expression of life. Their empire spanned thousands of worlds, each conquest adding to their conviction of superiority. In the depths of Luna Base, Dr. Rahul Patel initiated another consciousness transfer test. The quantum processors hummed silently as they processed human consciousness at speeds that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. Transfer successful, he announced to the assembled team. Subject consciousness successfully inhabiting multiple synthetic bodies simultaneously. The real breakthrough hadn't been in biological enhancement or even artificial intelligence. Instead, humanity had discovered that consciousness itself was a quantum phenomenon, capable of existing independently of any physical substrate. While the Zorians had pursued biological perfection, humans had learned to transcend biology altogether. Across Earth's hidden facilities, millions of consciousness receivers waited in dormancy. They appeared as simple satellites or space debris to outside observers, but each contained sophisticated quantum processors capable of hosting transferred human consciousness. The entire solar system had been secretly prepared as humanity's consciousness battlefield. The Zorian ambassador requests permission to land, announced Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, monitoring global communications. They're broadcasting in all known frequencies, probably trying to impress us with their technological superiority. Admiral Nakamura allowed himself a small smile. Grant them permission to land at the primary spaceport in Nevada. Make sure all visible technology remains within expected parameters. The Nevada facility was a masterpiece of deception. While appearing as a relatively primitive spaceport to outside observers, it contained some of the most advanced quantum consciousness monitoring equipment ever created. Every Zorian who set foot there would be thoroughly analyzed, their biocrystalline nature studied and documented. New data from the consciousness mapping team, Director Reyes reported, bringing up another holographic display. We've successfully mapped the quantum signature of Zorian consciousness. Their biocrystalline structure makes them particularly vulnerable to quantum interference. This information could prove crucial in the coming confrontation. Humanity hadn't developed their consciousness transfer technology purely for peaceful purposes. They had known, since first detecting the Zorian Empire's expansion, that conflict was inevitable. As the Zorian diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, its crew remained blissfully unaware that they were being scanned by technology far beyond their comprehension. Their own advanced sensors, designed to detect biological and technological developments, were blind to the true nature of human advancement. Begin final preparations, Admiral Nakamura ordered. When the time comes, we'll show the Zorians that true evolution isn't about perfecting the physical form. It's about transcending it altogether. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of consciousness, evolution, and the very nature of existence. Humanity's greatest deception was about to unfold, and the Zorian Empire's assumptions about superiority would soon be shattered in ways they could never have imagined. The Zorian delegation strode through the Nevada spaceport, their crystalline forms casting prismatic patterns across the deliberately antiquated concrete walls. Ambassador Xylith, leading the group, made no attempt to hide his condescension as he observed the primitive, human technology surrounding them. "We bring greetings from the glorious Zorian Empire," Xylith announced, his biocrystalline translator converting his biochemical signals into human speech. "We look forward to guiding your species toward a more evolved state of being." Director Reyes, playing her role perfectly, responded with carefully crafted humility. "We are honored by your presence, Ambassador. Earth has much to learn from your advanced civilization." Behind her diplomatic smile, quantum processors were analyzing every aspect of the Zorian's biocrystalline structure. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the hidden facility known as Deep Horizon, Professor Jun Watanabe monitored the quantum signature readings from the Zorian delegation. "Fascinating," he murmured to his team of consciousness researchers. "Their biocrystalline matrix actually impedes consciousness transfer. They've engineered themselves into an evolutionary dead end." The Zorians had spent centuries developing their crystalline biology, believing it represented the peak of evolution. In doing so, they had inadvertently created the perfect prison for their consciousness, binding it more tightly to physical form than any natural biology ever could. In orbital stations disguised as communication satellites, thousands of human consciousness receivers continued their silent vigil. Each was capable of hosting dozens of transferred minds simultaneously, waiting for the moment humanity would reveal its true capabilities. "The Zorians are requesting access to our genetic research facilities," Lieutenant Tanaka reported during the daily Quantum Command briefing. "They're particularly interested in our failed attempts at biological enhancement." Admiral Nakamura nodded, suppressing a smile. "Give them access to the decoy facility in Geneva. Let them believe they're seeing all we have." The facility in question was another masterpiece of misdirection, filled with deliberately flawed research that would only reinforce the Zorian sense of superiority. Ambassador Xylith's report to the Zorian High Command was filled with dismissive observations about human technology. "They still rely on silicon-based computing," he noted with biochemical signatures indicating amusement. "Their attempts at genetic enhancement are centuries behind our achievements. They will make excellent subjects for upliftment." What the ambassador couldn't know was that every word of his transmission was being intercepted and analyzed by quantum consciousness processors operating beyond the physical realm. Humanity's true computational power existed in a state the Zorians couldn't even detect, let alone comprehend. In the Lunar Quantum Labs, Dr. Patel's team achieved another breakthrough. "We've successfully mapped the complete neural pattern of a Zorian consciousness," he reported to Admiral Nakamura. "Their biocrystalline structure makes them particularly vulnerable to quantum entanglement disruption." The implications were staggering. Not only could human consciousness transfer between synthetic bodies at will, but they now had the theoretical capability to interfere with Zorian consciousness itself. It was a weapon of last resort, but one that might prove necessary. "The Zorians are preparing to present their upliftment proposal to the United Earth Council," Director Reyes announced during an encrypted quantum conference. "They believe we'll eagerly accept their offer to improve our biology." Admiral Nakamura's holographic avatar nodded gravely. "Let them proceed. The longer they believe in our technological inferiority, the more complete their shock will be when we reveal the truth." Across Earth's hidden facilities, preparation continued. Quantum consciousness processors were refined, transfer protocols were perfected, and more human volunteers underwent the consciousness digitization process. The facade of a primitive civilization was maintained with meticulous care, even as humanity's greatest technological achievement waited in the shadows. Ambassador Xylith and his delegation continued their tour of Earth's facilities, each carefully crafted to reinforce their preconceptions. They saw exactly what they expected to see, a species struggling with primitive technology, bound by biological limitations, and desperate for Zorian guidance. But beneath this carefully constructed illusion, humanity's hidden revolution was reaching its culmination. Soon, the Zorians would learn that true evolution had nothing to do with biological perfection. The age of physical form was ending, and a new era of consciousness was about to begin. The moment of revelation began not with a declaration of war, but with a simple quantum fluctuation that rippled through the solar system. In their flagship orbiting Mars, the Zorian commanders detected nothing unusual. Their biocrystalline sensors were blind to the awakening that would reshape the galaxy. Admiral Nakamura stood in quantum command, his consciousness simultaneously present in both his physical form and the quantum network. "Begin Operation Transcendence," he ordered. "All consciousness carriers, activate." Across the solar system, thousands of dormant vessels stirred to life. What the Zorians had dismissed as space debris or primitive satellites suddenly pulsed with quantum energy. Within seconds, hundreds of thousands of human consciousness patterns transferred seamlessly into these waiting vessels. Ambassador Xylith was mid-speech at the United Earth Council when the first signs appeared. The holographic projectors he'd been using to showcase Zorian superiority flickered, then displayed something impossible. A real-time visualization of consciousness transfer occurring throughout the solar system. "What trickery is this?" Xylith demanded, his crystalline form flashing with patterns of confusion and alarm. Director Reyes stood, her diplomatic mask finally dropping away. "No trickery, Ambassador. Simply evolution taking a different path than you imagined possible." As she spoke, her consciousness existed simultaneously in the council chamber and in 12 quantum vessels now approaching Zorian space. The Zorian Empire's surveillance network lit up with thousands of warnings. Vessels of unknown design had appeared throughout their territory, moving with impossible precision. Each ship operated not with a crew, but with dozens of transferred human consciousness patterns working in perfect harmony. In the Kuiper Belt, Professor Watanabe's consciousness directed a swarm of quantum vessels in a complex dance around the Zorian fleet's main supply lines. "Their biocrystalline ships are impressive," he communicated through the quantum network, "but they're limited by the speed of biological thought. We are not." The Zorian High Command frantically attempted to comprehend what they were witnessing. Their sensors showed human vessels appearing and disappearing faster than their bio-enhanced brains could process. What they couldn't understand was that they weren't tracking physical ships, they were detecting the quantum shadows of transferred consciousness. "Impossible." High Commander Vexer broadcast to his fleet. They were primitive, bound to physical form. His biocrystalline flagship shuddered as human quantum vessels phased through its supposedly impenetrable defenses. Lieutenant Tanaka, her consciousness spread across a network of defense platforms near Jupiter, monitored the Zorian communication channels. Their panic was evident in the chaotic biochemical signatures they were broadcasting. "They still don't understand," she reported. "They can't comprehend existence without physical form." The Zorian response was predictable. They launched a massive biological weapon designed to target human DNA. The weapon dispersed harmlessly through space, finding no biological targets to affect. Humanity's consciousness carriers contained no organic components to attack. "Your evolution focused on perfecting the prison," Admiral Nakamura's voice echoed through every Zorian communication channel. "Ours focused on escaping it entirely." His consciousness simultaneously coordinated defensive grids around Earth while directing offensive operations in 3 different star systems. In orbit around Saturn, Dr. Patel's research team demonstrated another stunning capability. They successfully transferred a willing consciousness back and forth between organic and synthetic forms. "The body is now simply an option," he announced through the quantum network. "Not a requirement." The Zorian Empire's carefully constructed hierarchy began to crumble. Species they had uplifted through biological engineering watched in awe as humanity demonstrated a form of existence their crystalline overlords had never imagined possible. Ambassador Xylith, still in the council chamber, watched his empire's assumptions shatter. "What are you?" he asked, his translator struggling to convey the complex mix of fear and awe in his biochemical signals. Director Reyes smiled, her consciousness now operating across hundreds of platforms throughout the solar system. "We are humanity unbound. We are consciousness set free. And we are offering your people the same liberation, if you're willing to accept that your path of evolution isn't the only one." The digital awakening had begun, and with it, the galaxy's understanding of consciousness and evolution would never be the same. The age of biological supremacy was ending, replaced by something far more profound, the age of unfettered consciousness. The Zorian Empire's response to humanity's revelation was as swift as it was futile. Their mighty bioorganic fleet, the pride of their civilization, launched a full-scale assault on Earth's solar system. But how does one fight an enemy that exists everywhere and nowhere? "They still think in terms of physical warfare," Admiral Nakamura observed, his consciousness spread across defensive networks spanning the solar system. "Let them exhaust themselves against shadows." The Zorian warships fired salvos of crystalline energy weapons, their biological targeting systems seeking physical vessels to destroy. But humanity's quantum carriers simply shifted consciousness to new platforms, leaving the Zorians to waste their arsenal on empty shells. In the Archimedes base beneath Mercury's surface, General Reyna Patel coordinated humanity's response. "Begin Phase 2, she commanded through the quantum network. "Show them the true meaning of technological superiority." Across Zorian space, their supposedly secure quantum communication networks began to fail. Human consciousness had infiltrated their crystalline data structures, understanding them more deeply than their creators ever had. Entire star systems worth of Zorian technology simply stopped responding to their commands. High Commander Vexer watched in horror as his flagship's bioorganic systems started shutting down. "Impossible," he raged, his crystalline form pulsing with patterns of distress. "Our technology is perfect. Our evolution is supreme." "Evolution isn't about perfection," came the response, broadcasted simultaneously through every system in his ship. "It's about adaptation. And you've adapted yourselves into obsolescence." The gathered consciousness of humanity's greatest quantum scientists had discovered a fundamental flaw in Zorian biocrystalline technology. Their pursuit of biological perfection had made their systems rigid, unable to adapt to truly revolutionary changes. In the Satori sector, a group of uplifted species watched in amazement as their Zorian overlords' mighty ships drifted powerless in space. Lieutenant Tanaka's consciousness reached out to these civilizations, offering them a choice they'd never had before. "Your bodies can remain as they are," she communicated. "We offer freedom of consciousness, not biological modification. The choice to transcend physical form should always be voluntary." The response was overwhelming. Species that had resented Zorian biological manipulation for centuries embraced the possibility of consciousness transfer. The Empire's grip on its subordinate civilizations began to crumble. Professor Watanabe, coordinating from quantum platforms throughout the galaxy, monitored the cascade of defections. The Zorians' greatest mistake, he observed, was believing that biological superiority equated to evolutionary success. In the heart of Zorian space, their capital world Crystallos faced an unprecedented crisis. The biocrystalline architecture, once a symbol of their supremacy, now worked against them. Human consciousness had learned to interface with their systems at a fundamental level. "Your entire civilization is built on crystalline computing," Director Reyes explained to a stunned Zorian High Council. "Did you never consider that consciousness itself could learn to speak its language?" The council chamber, a marvel of bioorganic engineering, displayed the Empire's collapse in real time. System after system declared independence, protected by human quantum vessels that no Zorian weapon could touch. Ambassador Xylith, watching his civilization's power structure dissolve, finally understood. "We thought we were perfecting life," he transmitted, his biochemical signals carrying tones of revelation. "But we were only perfecting our limitations." Admiral Nakamura's consciousness manifested in the Zorian Council chamber, a feat their sensors insisted was impossible. "Your empire isn't being destroyed," he explained. "It's being offered evolution. Real evolution, not just biological modification." As the Zorian Empire's military and political power crumbled, something unexpected emerged from the chaos. Several younger Zorian scientists, less bound by traditional beliefs, began studying human consciousness transfer technology with growing excitement. The fall of the Empire wasn't marked by destruction or death, but by transformation. What the Zorians had thought would be their final war became instead their first step toward a new form of existence, one where consciousness, not biology, determined the boundaries of possibility. 1 year after the fall of the Zorian Empire, the galaxy had transformed in ways no civilization had predicted. The great crystalline spires of Crystallos now hummed with both biological and quantum activity, a symbol of the new era that had dawned. Professor Watanabe, his consciousness simultaneously present in both his original body and quantum networks throughout the galaxy, addressed the first Galactic Conference on Consciousness Evolution. Representatives from thousands of species attended, some in physical form, others as pure consciousness patterns in the quantum matrix. "The true measure of evolution," he explained, "isn't the perfection of form, but the transcendence of limitation. Today, we stand at the beginning of consciousness' true potential." In the quantum laboratories of Earth and Crystallos, something remarkable was taking place. A team of human and Zorian scientists, led by Dr. Patel and former Ambassador Xylith, had made a breakthrough in consciousness transfer technology. The biocrystalline structure of Zorian physiology, Dr. Patel explained to the assembled quantum network, isn't a prison as we first thought. It's a bridge between biological and quantum states that we never imagined possible. The discovery revealed that Zorian crystalline biology, when properly understood, could serve as a natural conductor for consciousness transfer. What they had thought was their greatest limitation became, in cooperation with human technology, a powerful tool for exploring new forms of existence. Admiral Nakamura, observing from quantum platforms throughout the galaxy, watched as former enemy species began working together. The real victory, he shared through the consciousness network, wasn't defeating the Zorians. It was showing them, showing everyone, that evolution has no end point. The feared collapse of galactic civilization never materialized. Instead, a renaissance of consciousness exploration swept through known space. Species that had been uplifted by the Zorians rediscovered their original biological heritage while simultaneously exploring the freedom of consciousness transfer. Director Reyes, now heading the Galactic Council for Conscious Evolution, oversaw the establishment of new protocols for species interaction. Physical form, biological enhancement, consciousness transfer, these are all choices now, she declared. No path of evolution is superior to another. In the remnants of the former empire, young Zorians embraced a radical new philosophy. They maintained their crystalline bodies but learned to transfer their consciousness at will, creating a unique hybrid of biological and quantum existence that neither humanity nor their ancestors had imagined possible. "We thought we were perfecting ourselves," Xylith reflected, his consciousness resonating through both his crystalline form and the quantum network. "Instead, we were waiting for the key that would unlock our true potential." The military quantum vessels that had once defended Earth now served as consciousness exploration ships, carrying mixed crews of transferred minds and physical beings to the edges of known space. Each discovery brought new understanding of consciousness itself. Lieutenant Tanaka, leading one such expedition, made contact with entirely new forms of consciousness in deep space. "Some exist as patterns in stellar plasma," she reported back to Earth. "Others inhabit quantum fields we're only beginning to understand. The universe is more alive than we ever imagined." General Patel's consciousness, spread through defense networks protecting 100 worlds, observed another unexpected development. Species that had never achieved space flight began exploring the galaxy through consciousness transfer, their physical forms remaining safely on their homeworlds while their minds roamed the stars. As the 5th anniversary of humanity's revelation approached, Professor Watanabe prepared to release his seminal work on consciousness theory. "We haven't reached the end of evolution," he wrote. "We've only just discovered its true beginning. The age of physical limitation is over. The age of infinite consciousness has begun." The galaxy would never return to its former state, but no one wanted it to. The rigid hierarchies of biological perfection had given way to something far more profound, a civilization where consciousness itself was the final frontier, and every species was free to explore it in their own way. As humanity looked to the future, they knew that their greatest achievement hadn't been defeating an empire, but liberating consciousness itself. The stars beckoned, not to ships of metal or crystal, but to minds free to explore the true nature of existence itself. In the quantum networks that now spanned the galaxy, billions of consciousness patterns danced in harmony, each maintaining their unique identity while sharing in an existence their ancestors could never have imagined. The revolution of consciousness had only just begun. End of story.